Hello, hello, and we do say good evening to you all. It is our great pleasure to be with you, and we do thank you for co-creating this interaction. As every time you meet with us, we create a third new reality that allows both of us to expand together in our connection to and understanding of all that is. And this is very exciting for us, so our great thanks and love to you. How are you all doing today?
Good, thank you.
Very good. And we are also always good. We speak on behalf of the Pleiadian Council, and we, as you know, come to your reality to assist you in this process of ascension, as you may call it, this process of raising your frequency so that you can perceive the realities that you may not see with your two physical eyes, yet are interwoven with your waking life, and so that you may create a life of service and love, a world, a planet of service and love that will one day lead to our arrival on your planet. So these are very exciting times. Today we would like to allow you all to reflect with your questions, with your curiosities, with your passions, and we will help those perspectives expand through offering our perspective. You do not need to take our perspective if you do not wish to. We are simply allowing the expansion of all to unfold in a natural way. So with that, we would say, let us begin, and you may start wherever you like.
Maybe you could share with us if you have a message for the collective here in the room. Maybe because many of us are opening to just receiving, you know?
Yes.
We're in that space of receiving, so we wonder if you have a message for us collectively here tonight. A theme, perhaps.
All right. Well, we understand that all of you here are in a deep connection with our world, with our reality. Maybe not particularly us as the Pleiadians, yet extraterrestrials in general. And this is very exciting. And as well, the level of frequency that you radiate at this time is going to go even higher in the years to come. So we would say a bit about what may be unfolding for all of you, not just those of you in the room, in this year of 2019. As the year to come, 2020, is symbolic of the idea of 2020 vision, crystal clarity, being able to see reality for what it is, clearly. And in this year 2019, it is as if all of the things that you have not seen about yourself, within yourself, about the reality of your earth plane, comes to the surface, comes to light. And so, with this in mind, the most key information at this time is to not look away from what you do not want to see, because looking into the darkness allows you to see the light with more clarity. And you may find that as your own darkness or the darkness of the collective comes to the surface, and you are able to see through it with laser-like vision, you refine what it means to be who you are. You refine your ability to choose what is most exciting for you. And a lot of what may be unfolding for many individuals at this time is the discovery that what they thought was exciting is not quite as exciting, with the new bits of information that they discover, with the new inner discoveries that they make. There comes a point where there is a new passion. Now, when this arises for you, it can come with a period of a bit of confusion, though understand that confusion can become co-fusion when you see that the old ideas and this new discovery and the new ideas that it brings can be integrated, can be fused together rather than being seemingly separate or opposite to each other. There is always a way to bring those two ideas to form a cohesive whole that allows you to simply continue to expand your perspective. Now as well, there is great magical, you could say, encounters to occur coming into your year 2020, as this is also a time when you have that clear sight of what you really wish to do, how you really wish to serve the greater good. And in these times, the results will be magnetized to you much more quickly. You do understand that following your true passion generates synchronicity that brings to you the situations and circumstances required to fulfill your purpose, if you wish to see it that way. And of course, these energies are now amplified. As well, this is a symbolic entry point into what you may have perceived as the Aquarian Age. This is one of many symbolic entry points. And this frequency of connection, of honesty, of vulnerability, of service to something bigger will continue to take hold in a way, as the energies that are blocking that within the individuals choosing that path of your Earth's positive ascension will have more clarity. And as well, as things come to seem much more clear, what may be negative in the larger picture will also become much more clear. What is masked or disguised light will also become much more clear. So it is important in these times to validate your own perspective, to in a way document it for yourself so that you are understanding and owning what your perception is, and then continue to choose a variety of many mirrors. The clearer the mirror, the better. Yet these mirrors will then reflect to you a new perspective, allowing that perspective to expand. As in the times to come, when you are, in that sense, ascending into the higher densities, there is a telepathic ability to receive, to understand, to integrate others' perspectives instantaneously. And this telepathic sense is awakening for many at this time. And the many layers of this lead to the ability for you to receive your hybrid children, if that is your purpose. So the purpose of all of this really is in refining your ability to perceive clearly, and to not only perceive with your mind clearly, which is a natural result of these higher frequencies, but to perceive with your heart all of the energies that are radiated from those around you. And in that way, you come into a deep heart knowing, you could say, of where they are at, of what is going on in their reality as well. And understand that when this happens between any two individuals or group of individuals, there is a new entity created. And as you come to experience the entity you could say, of your relationships to others as a conscious being in its own right, this will also assist you in deepening into telepathy. And again, yes, this telepathic ability to connect is the biggest requirement for you to contact and meet your hybrid children, because they are in a way learning backwards. They are already so connected to one another, and so in that heart space of feeling the frequency and intentions of others at all times, that they do not need language in the same way. Though in order to integrate in your world, they must adjust to this more individualized consciousness that is part of your human experience at this density. It will not be that way for much longer, as your evolution requires greater degrees of connection that will ultimately dissolve your sense that you are separate from the world around you. Instead, you will feel a part of each and every person, of each and every place, of each and every experience you may have. And all of those people, places, and experiences will also feel a part of you. This is the message, we would say, about the news of your times.
Thank you.
Yes.
I've heard from a couple different people that our first contact will be with the hybrid children, but
Yes.
then I've also heard with the Pleiadians. Is this dependent upon each person?
Yes, actually.
Oh, for me, is it the hybrid children that I will meet first, or the Pleiadians?
We can't tell you that,
Oh,
because it is also a result of your shifting frequency in all moments.
yeah.
That is what draws forth from all of the probabilities that are existing already, the one that you do experience.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel myself in the reality with my hybrid children where
Yes.
this contact happens, and sometimes it's the Pleiadians, so I guess, yeah.
In a way, you are shifting back and forth, though it is most probable that you will meet both of these groups. Though understand that in meeting us, the Pleiadians, those experiences will be a bit more isolated for individuals who have been cultivating that connection. And as the frequency raises, the Yahyel will be the first to openly contact your planet as a whole.
With the hybrid children.
Well, the hybrid children will have already been there.
Oh, okay.
And understand that those of a lower frequency would not be able to tell that hybrid children are hybrids. They would simply think they are unruly, mischievous children.
So when we meet the Pleiadians, is it likely that the versions of ourselves that are Pleiadians, those will be the first ones that we meet?
No, not quite.
Oh, okay.
You may share the same oversoul with some of them, though for many of you, when you are connecting with our world, you are reaching far into the idea of the future, to frequencies that are much higher than the frequencies that you will be able to tolerate upon first contact. Do you understand?
Could you say it again?
Well, as you may have heard, the frequency of an extraterrestrial being of this positive orientation creates a energetic field that brings others to, in a way, lose their sense of individuality. It brings them to higher dimensional states of consciousness, which are resisted by what you could call your conditioning, mental programs, and your ego. And so, if we were to come to your world right now and have a physical contact, that energy would raise your frequency so high that all of those conditioning programs would surface quickly and it would overwhelm you. Some people may even go psychotic from that frequency. So we keep our contact, to the most part, to experiences of dreams, of channeling, of precognition, of sightings, as this is a way that you can feel our frequency, that you can be elevated by our frequency without it overwhelming you. The hybrid children are of a bit of a higher frequency, yet as a blend of humans and Yael, their frequency is not so high that it would overwhelm people upon first contact. You are preparing yourselves to be at that frequency to be able to match and handle their frequency. Though, again, these children are also working to break those patterns of conditioning, and the ways that they may come to do it may not seem so nice to some humans. So do not think that the hybrid children are some sort of pre-enlightened masters. They are tricky, as they want to help you release patterns specifically of control and disconnection. And they may do that in a bit of a prankster fashion at points, though at other points they will be teaching you very high frequency gifts of telepathy, of enhanced creativity, of, well, many other psychic phenomena that is common to them and will be common for you in the times to come. Something more you would like to ask about these ideas?
Me? Not me
Yes.
in particular.
Oh, all
Anybody
right.
else have anything? Thank you.
Yes, our thanks to you as well.
With regards to physical contact, as you mentioned, the vibration would be of too high frequency. What specifically can we do to raise our frequency to create the reality or a more probable reality of physical contact occurring?
Are you really asking that question? How do I raise my frequency?
Yes, I am.
Well, the answer is to do what you love, to follow your excitement, to follow your passion, as that is naturally what raises your frequency. So as long as you follow that formula, the rest of the details will fill themselves in for each individual. And of course, part of that idea of following your excitement, of living your passion, is also the idea of discovering the beliefs that distort what you perceive as passion and what you perceive as anxiety. And this understanding is perhaps a challenging thing for many to grasp. And you must really come to discover, what do you feel truly passionate about, and what are you doing because of a belief system that says if you don't do it, something you don't prefer may happen, when really you may not have to do that thing in that way.
Thank you.
Yes, our thanks to you. Can we clarify that in any way for you at this time?
With regards to physical contact, other than raising vibration, is there anything else? Because for the collective here, a lot of us are having telepathic or sightings or other dream contact that's becoming
Yes.
more and more frequent.
Yes.
Is there anything other than raising vibration that we can do to create physical contact? I'll speak for myself, but I believe the view is shared by many that a lot are having telepathic contact, but
Yes.
would like to have physical contact also? Is there anything else that you could see or suggest to us that would help create that reality?
The answer is still excitement. Though, being excited about that contact is very key as well. So, doing what you may already be doing by spreading the ideas of contact, by spreading the frequency of extraterrestrial beings, by speaking openly about it without any fear or without any concern of how others may perceive it, having that conviction and being the voice for extraterrestrials, whether it is through channeling or whether it is through speaking about the concepts and teachings and the information that one has received about extraterrestrial life, or by doing what you love the most and embodying the truth that what you love the most is the greatest key for the collective as well. Those are very important things to do if it is exciting for you. And we do see that for most who are getting exposed to these ideas, that is a very exciting thing to do. So the more that you share that, the more that you keep that passion, that great wish in your heart for contact, you remember it, you play it as an inner movie when you wake up. One day I will wake up and the great Yahyel will be standing before me. Let that go to a deep part in your consciousness and feel the love, feel the expansion, feel the, in a way, victory. We wouldn't normally use that word, though it certainly does signify a step that cannot be undone. When open contact does occur, your world will change so much for the better that there will be no going back. And so that key moment will be one of a sort of deja vu, of beyond all deja vus before. It will change your perception of the dimensionality of time and space entirely. And from that point forward, you will perceive yourself in a very different way. So, anticipating what that may be like for you as an individual can bring you into a more excited state to do the things that you were excited about, including communicating the ideas about extraterrestrial contact. And yes, well, we are being guided to even mention our colleague, as we could say, the Bashar, has encouraged some of you to send postcards to organizations like your NASA regularly to ask them to expose the information that they have. Even something as simple as that adds to your frequency, adds to the sort of bandwidth that you are holding for that frequency to raise. Does that sound exciting?
Yes, it does sound exciting. What I'd like to say is, just as you're speaking and bringing this through, I can also feel a sadness of separation and this feeling of knowing the truth of what you're saying, knowing that this is in a reality waiting for us to step into it and it will be revealed, combined with that feeling that it's out of control, and then also kind of like a sadness and anger at the same time that there's so many of us moving forward towards this, but that feeling of how can it not just be here, because I feel in the heart that the separation is falling away, but as the separation's falling away I can also feel the darkness getting darker as that catapult going forward, but it's kind of like a excitement mixed with a sadness that we're not there yet.
Yes. This is what we were saying as well about the clarity, the idea of this 2020. So another way that you can metaphorically dissect this is that it is two 20s. 20 being a number of judgment in your tarot card deck, which really just means the ability to see clearly, to discern. So 20/20, 2/20s. There's actually two poles on your planet now, not the magnetic poles, two sides of a polarity of the connective energy and the disconnective energy, you could say. We're trying to use the least loaded words possible. As part of this connected reality, you are connecting to others in a way of service and connecting to that force of light and expansion into higher dimensions that is of service. There is the other polarity in pure service to self, and it is a consciousness of division where everyone is distinct and separate and must fend for themselves. This consciousness is indeed expanding with the consciousness of the light and the unity. So your planet is moving through many different timelines. And as you know, when you change your vibration, the universe around you changes. You are in a different universe with every shift of your vibration and every nanosecond. The same is true for the bigger picture of your planet. Your planet is shifting between these many different probable realities. And this is a very interesting window of time that we see going to about 2035, though as we say about these predictions, it is always shifting. So for these years to come, the field of light and the field of darkness will expand. They will get greater. And there is actually now a very big middle ground. There are many who have not picked sides, you could say. And so the work that you are doing is to bring more people to pick the side of connectivity. And really, you are creating this as your reality, as everyone else is creating it as their reality. The experience of darkness and disconnection leads to its own timeline that is a different future reality and destination of Earth. And there are individual souls who will fragment away from this timeline that you were headed upon to go towards that timeline. And so all of the evidence of that darkness is here on your planet today. You can see it, you can experience it, you can understand why it is happening. And this is actually a gift of free will. Creator gives all beings in all dimensions the choice between the light or the darkness. In a way, you will always have both of them, though this is a clear and big choice point, as there is this shift of your planet's vibration into higher dimensions, though you can go to those higher dimensions and use negative energy as well as using positive energy. Now, the understanding is that you are on the timeline of the ascension into a world of connectivity, of unity, of connection and integration into the Galactic Federation. This is a core intention of the Earth's heart, you could say. The Earth itself has chosen this, and you are making a connection to that Earth, to that reality. Yet simultaneously, there is another Earth. There are infinite amounts of Earths, and there are these two polar examples, two expressions. That Earth also exists within the same physical location, though it is actually another dimensional plane. So you can have the experience of an intersection between your plane of Earth and that negative plane of Earth. You can see it very easily, though that is simply an intersection. It is energy bleeding through. It is a different reality from yours. And there are many, again, in the middle who are in their own reality as well. And again, what you are really doing at this time is generating enough force of passion and love that you pull other people to match that frequency. And you are all doing that in your own way. Though this is again why the key teaching from us and from other extraterrestrials is to do what you love all of the time, as that will create the frequency that allows others to do the same thing. And with a whole planet in that space, everything will connect, everything will unify. We assure you.
So that other Earth you were talking about, is that the one with the grays on it?
Oh no. The grays are actually coming to this new positive Earth as well. Though understand that there are a couple of different types of grays. So the grays that have been most common in this abduction phenomena are actually from a different parallel reality of Earth.
Yeah.
You know this, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I didn't know if you were referring
Oh, yes.
to that as the...
Oh,
the-
actually, the timeline split off that created the grays occurred a bit longer ago. This parallel reality split off now
Oh.
leads to a different planet entirely, or, well, an infinite amount of different ones. In general, what happens in that reality is a sort of cataclysmic war.
Okay, just one little more thing, then I'll let somebody else says.
Yes.
It's about the Earth, and I heard from a Syrian channeler recently that the new Earth, nobody is occupying it right now. So I thought all sort of dimensions and realities existed simultaneously, but he was saying it's still being created and nobody is actually occupying it.
In a very physical sense, no one is yet occupying it.
Mm.
Yet at the higher dimensional level of potential, you are already occupying it.
So all of us here, we are all occupying it?
Well, now you are in your year 2019, though you understand that this is just the illusionary perception that you create.
Mm-hmm.
At that higher level, you are already there, though again, you are also everywhere else as well.
Mm-hmm.
You, at that level beyond time and space, have every different probable timeline that is possible as part of your soul energy.
Mm-hmm. I have a question.
Yes.
What do you feel about different channels giving conflicting information about different unfolding events and understandings of the ascension process? Because I feel that there's many perspectives
Yes.
and they are all valid, but it does seem that some channels contradict one another with their
Oh, yes.
information and their sharing. Maybe it's a combination of maybe their filters, or maybe they're just tapping into different realities, and I've wondered what your thoughts and feelings are about
Oh, yes.
conflicting informations.
It is both of those ideas that you've expressed, that they are tapping into different realities,
Mm-hmm.
and also that there is a different filtration process
Mhm.
occurring. So when there is a channeling in this sense, it occurs through a telepathic connection between a being that is a channel and a higher dimensional entity. The channel goes into a more automatic state of expression in which the subconscious mind is responsible for translating that received frequency into words. Now, the subconscious mind, as you know, is very programmed. And in order to begin channeling, it is most helpful to clear much of that programming out. Though not all channels do this. And so if there is a deep belief at a subconscious level that things work a certain way, that certain things must be true, this belief then filters the energy, the frequency received by those beings into a different sort of story. And this is why channels are best off doing a deeper inner work of excavating their own negative belief systems, and as well seeing how their information relates to and connects with the other information that is being channeled. Now, the other difference is, or you could say the reason why things seem different between channels, is because there are many different dimensional levels. And so the way that we as Pleiadians perceive things is different than the way that the Syrians would perceive things, or the Yahyel would perceive things. Though, talking about the Syrians, for example, there are hundreds of races that are at the level of being able to telepathically communicate from Sirius. And there are even beings of pure light that have no degree of physicality from Sirius that are still Syrians and do communicate with many. So it is the species within that star system you connect with, as well as the time and space from which they initiate contact, that determines what their motives are, what their ideas are, what their perspectives are, what their frequency feels like. There are even levels higher beyond that of what you may consider angelic, of what you may consider creator gods, and there are also other dimensions entirely, somewhere in between, such as nature spirits or fairies, that also have their own way of seeing things. And so, for example, we as Pleiadians do not experience a high degree of individuality. While we are individuals, we have this telepathic link in with every other member of our world. We connect to that higher mind level through which we can experience a deep inner knowing of what everyone else is processing in any given moment. It allows us to understand the explorations that many members of our world experience as they go through other dimensions and other worlds within this galaxy. And it sort of gives us a very big data bank of collective consciousness, you could say. Though because we do not experience this high degree of individuality, we perceive things very different than the way you perceive things. A different sort of being who experiences instead that higher degree of individuality and individualized consciousness will have a very different experience. And so we have come to learn a bit about this because we've evolved to this point and we understand where you are at. Though we mention this because sometimes the messages that we give is simply to offer you a different way of seeing things, a different perception of how things may work. Because, of course, on that higher level, all is one and all is connected. Yet you, in your dimension, do have different conditions, do have different limitations that distort that oneness. So many of these ideas are helpful in removing those blockages, those conditions that don't allow you to experience oneness in such a deep way. Though some of these ideas are actually very challenging for you, because the gap between where these beings are coming from and what you are capable of at present as a human is so vast. Though, of course, this information always is very helpful to you because it expands your perception of what is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yes.
Thank you so much for everything.
Or thanks to you.
I have, for about 10 years now, have been actively introspective and with my own experiences in my own childhood and my own all sorts of things. And I'm finding, here I am 10 years into, which the only word I can call it is introspection. 10 years into it, I'm, for the last few months, I've been experiencing deep levels of grief. I've been experiencing, along with that, uncovering deeper and deeper emotions of experiences, childhood, into my 20s and into my adulthood, of things maybe I've already done what I might call a life review on. However, the deeper layers of emotions are coming up and surfacing about these things. I find that there's nothing for me to do but to experience them and allow them to inform me. However, sometimes lately it feels debilitating in the sense that it keeps me from, well, maybe it doesn't keep it, but it just feels like it takes up a lot of space and time.
Yes.
And I'm, of course, willing to do whatever is necessary. My question is maybe one or two or threefold. One, if you all have any insight into any guidance that could assist me in understanding more clearly what I'm experiencing. And then two, if you all see any areas where I may be resisting or not seeing something clearly, which is causing maybe the internal frustration. I feel like you all know what I mean, whether I say it or not, so I'll just leave it at that.
All right. To start, we would say, well, beyond all of these emotions, are you truly following your passion?
Yes.
All right. We will accept that. So, going deeper, your emotions are always and only informing you about your own belief systems. The memories are the inception points for those belief systems, or the ingraining points, you could say, when a pre-existing belief system becomes much denser, much more ingrained. And in experiencing these great emotions, the purpose is for you to see how these belief systems have cut you off from your own needs. The needs to experience love, to experience connection, to experience expression, to experience unconditional love for yourself, and unconditional acceptance of reality as it is. So when these emotions surface, we can suggest two paths. They are both necessary. So consider them more like the winding together of that symbol you may call the Kashadas in your world. The inward path of, as you are doing, experiencing the memories, experiencing the emotion, though letting that awareness inform you as to which need, which desire was cut off, was suppressed, was denied in the experience of that memory. And going back to that point of your life, time traveling, as you are today, to meet that younger version of yourself, to allow her to have a voice and express it, and express what it is she needs and desires, and using the power of your connection to your guides to then change that memory, to create a new structure of that memory that, much like a patch or a filter, will then be overlaid on top of that memory, so that within your consciousness, within your subconscious and unconscious minds, this memory and the belief systems will be overlaid with a new memory conjured by your own mind and heart together, and a new belief that demonstrates your connection and your divinity. And so whenever a memory surfaces, allowing yourself to change the structure of the memory, instead of repeating how things did happen, look at what you would have preferred to happen. And from that path, when you see what you would have preferred to happen, you can notice the synchronicity of situations in your life relating to that memory. How are you allowing the same belief system that you created in that moment to bring you to behave in a similar way, to cut yourself off in a similar way, to accept the cut offness from others in a similar way, and instead begin to honor your needs, begin to bring voice to them in the moment, begin to focus on that opposite feeling of whatever struggle may be there. What would bring you to feel joy or love or whatever the opposite quality is? And how can you take a step towards that? And this path is in a way simple, though of course they are interweaving paths. You move a bit on one, you move a bit on the other, they intersect again, and there's a new synchronicity connected to a new or newly surfaced memory. Though in a way it is always a new memory, and this is what we wish to say about this idea of inner work, is that it is always a new memory, because in every moment you are an entirely different person in an entirely new reality. And as your vibration changes, the past as well changes. So your past both changes literally, well, of course it changes literally. It both changes in the way that you could change so much in this moment that what occurred in the past could be entirely different. And it changes in the way that we have mentioned, in that as you change your own programming, you change your memories with your mind and with your heart, feeling the depths of those memories and feeling the height created by the new memory. You are always having a different past. You are always having a different experience of the past. So every time a memory surfaces, it is a new memory. And it is an opportunity to create yourself new, being informed by that memory, that emotion, that belief, in order to create a new reality with a new belief, a new emotion, a new you, every time. Can you play with that? Is that exciting?
Some parts.
Oh, all right. What part is not exciting?
Let's see. You know, it's just that aspect, that part of it that like it's going to require some attention and focus and work. That's the part. I'm open and willing to do it, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Though it is not as much work as you may think. Because again, the fuel for all of this is following your passion. And the passion brings that elevated state. And then the stumbling block, the speed bump. We would say the process is more in the speed bump. When you are following your excitement, you hit the speed bump. The speed bump triggers the memory of something that was the inception point of the belief system that is now manifesting as a speed bump. So allow your focus to be with following your excitement. When you find the speed bump, allow yourself to slow down. When there is no speed bump, there is no necessity to slow down. You will find that the more that you move slowly with your excitement, allowing the frequency of passion to fill your body rather than running forth without paying attention to the details, that it actually seems to move faster energetically. Your vibration raises more quickly. So we are not saying rush through the process. Though what we are saying is, do not be deceived by this idea of shadow work in the sense that it is something you have to do. Consider that it is something that does you, and you cooperate with it or you do not cooperate with it. The fuel of your excitement is what makes the shadow work work. Do you understand?
I do. That's super helpful.
Oh, well, we feel very helped by your appreciation as well.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Please? And forgive me if you've already explained this, but I'd like further clarification. I often feel that with the excitement, following excitement, that speed bumps just seem to come up so frequently, and it feels like when expanding or following things and having all of these ideas, insights, channelings of things that we want to do, that we feel really excited and passionate about it, and then we take a step forward and then it's like, oh, you're on a speed bump. So
Yes.
this relationship between maybe how to navigate these speed bumps more quickly, or why these speed bumps keep frequenting themselves in our lives.
Because you are moving very fast.
Yes.
So that intense frequency is bringing up a lot of conditioning. And what we see as making this faster in this instance would be to reinterpret what the speed bump means. Is it a curse or a blessing? Because really you can only have the speed bump if you are needing to clear something. And in knowing that you are clearing something, you will also know that you will be more clear and more light after you move through the speed bump. So that quality of appreciation or even curiosity towards the speed bump will make it less sharp, less jagged. So also, again, what we have said about moving a bit slower means you move quicker. Also means that you move through the speed bumps quicker. So do not rush toward the idea, the end result idea that is exciting. Instead, allow the whole process to be filled with that energy of excitement so that that frequency fills your whole body with peace, with calming. Excitement is not the opposite of calming. It is simply an expansion, a very true expression of the soul in resonance with its purpose. Can you play with that?
Yes, that sounds exciting.
Yes.
How, when you're saying move slower, is that just moving slower generally in life, or moving slower when the speed bump comes up, taking more of a gentle pace, or could you give any more further clarity on that? Because I've found difficulty moving slower, so I would like to know maybe how to do that a little bit more.
It is simply in this idea of not confusing excitement with the end result, and instead letting excitement be the expression of desire in the now. So this means placing an equal value on the excitement towards taking a break and going out for a nice walk in the sun as you place on working on the project, on finishing the project. In fact, don't even associate finishing with excitement, because finishing, again, when you make that more valuable than starting, actually distorts the energy of excitement altogether. And that is part of the speed bump you are encountering.
Thank you.
Yes, our thanks to you. So, again, excitement or passion or love, however you term it, it is the determining factor in how the frequency of your soul body expands and raises. And it is simply the authentic expression of where there is the most desire, curiosity, or love. And it can mean simply going out and taking a walk. It can mean reading a book. It can mean looking someone in the eyes for a long time. It can mean starting a business too. It can mean a variety of things. And it is simply about allowing all of those things, from the most small to the most grand, to simply be seen and witnessed as expressions of excitement. Knowing that when you follow the excitement that is telling you to go take a walk or have a coffee with a friend, if you drink that, that is the same qualitatively as the excitement for doing the grand project. Because it is more about the feeling state and the authenticity and the understanding of self that comes with every decision. That is what makes excitement the most exciting. And so to truly honor this may mean that in the middle of doing something, you simply get up and do something else. You don't honor that conditioning and that idea that says you must focus for this amount of time in order to do it right. No, it is about shifting your focus to the feeling state of excitement. And you know that feeling state in your heart. So again, as this experience began today with the channel bringing you into your heart, or you bringing yourself into the heart through the guidance, or however you would like to say it, that awareness of centering yourself in your heart, that is how you allow excitement to work. When you allow your heart to motivate all of you, you will always be honoring your excitement, most certainly. And we also must say that this is not something to judge yourself for. Simply witness the moments that you come out of alignment with your excitement. Now, the channel understands this, and we can say for the channel that in one instance where the channel is even the slightest degree not honoring what is more exciting for perhaps pleasing another, for perhaps being productive, for perhaps being seen in the way that he prefers to be seen, or a variety of those human things that you all do, there is a negative synchronicity, the very instance. So you must learn how honoring yourself determines what comes back to you. And this is again an expression of the clarity that is coming. You will soon see the reflection of what it means to not follow your passion so instantaneously that the conditioning will go much quicker, because you see how important it is to truly know with clarity what is passion and what is not.
Yes, thank you. I have a question about current events that are unfolding in different parts of the world, particularly as it relates to Venezuela.
Yes.
I wonder if you are aware of what is happening, unfolding there. There is much deep unrest in this
Yes.
part of the world, and at one time it was the richest country in South America, and now, of course, the people have become displaced with a kind of dictatorship in that country, and it has caused immense suffering. I'm very sensitive to the suffering, to the plight of others. And recently, I was looking more into this topic and, in a sense, feeling the weight of the situation and looking inside of myself. What can I do to perhaps be a solution to some of the deep unrest that is unfolding as a result of this polarity that you were speaking to earlier. And also I wonder whether what is happening, what is unfolding in Venezuela is a template for what could unfold in many other countries that in some sense they may have created their destiny in a way that is at the expense of others. For instance, there are many countries that we consider modern countries that have been built, whole empires that have been built on the suffering of others. And I am wondering whether this unrest is a kind of opening or a kind of foresight into the future of what could happen in some other countries too. So the question is, what can we do when we are presented with the suffering of others that feels sometimes very great, very challenging to respond to, because it almost is creating a sense of helplessness sometimes, or not knowing how to contribute and be a part of the solution. And the other part of the question is this what is unfolding in Venezuela? Is it a template for what will unfold in other countries, especially those countries, like I said, that have built their empire at the expense of others?
To answer the first part of your question, we would say the most important thing is to express that empathy, express that you are feeling that pain without taking it in as your own, without replicating that vibration in your own field. Use that pain to bring yourself deeper into love, as there is no pain that cannot result in a greater expansion into love. And so there is in your world a lot of looking the other way, like we have said in the beginning. People, instead of looking into the darkness, believe that to do so would actually make the darkness bigger. When actually, as we have said, there is this middle ground, there is this gray zone. And many individuals that could be attracted towards the reality of connectivity, as we have described it, cannot get there until you look out into that gray zone that they are a bit stuck in. And extending your compassion to them is very helpful, very key. Now as well, being able to express, and we understand that you are very expressive, express your pain, your confusion, your desire to help to others is very helpful as well. To raise awareness, to ask for the world, to be able to look at its own shadows, will only expand that process that is naturally occurring now of clarification. So, yes, it is in spreading the choice towards complete awareness that you will find yourself in the most authentic and in a stance of integrity when it comes to these issues, in a place of balance through compassion. As to the part of the question about the structure of government and how that is similar to what may occur in the future, we would say that yes, it is most certainly this form of control that is characteristic of the negative or disconnective polarity playing itself out on your planet now. And while this country is in a very negative state, there are many others who will progress towards that state as well. So again, it is as if you are sharing this world together. And many souls in those places are making the choice to be in that more negative state. Now, eventually, the timelines will split and there will be no evidence of that negative reality eventually. This will come from one world government, one world currency, and the consciousness behind that, which is much more important, is one of love, compassion, connecting with others in their pain, and sharing the natural abundance evenly so that all can meet their own needs. Now, part of this control dynamic is this information about what you call the New World Order. We would say that there are two New World Orders. Both of these groups, the division of these groups of many timelines, we would say, the two divisions of connectivity and of disconnection, have a New World Order. Now, there is much prophesized information, true information about the plans of secret societies to create the negative New World Order. Yet there is also the positive New World Order. And this positive New World Order is one that will bring all nations on the planet to be equal, to make one governing force that ensures that there is safety, equality, and prosperity for all members of each part of the world. And this will also create one currency, so that the ability to create experiences of abundance is naturally shared throughout the world. So many countries may come to join this positive New World Order, whereas the countries and parts of the world that move in that separation-based polarity will make themselves more cut off, will take more control over the people, will soup up their military, and this will be an expression for many parts of the world for some years to come, though there will be a critical turning point as well. And again, it is your focus and your love and your compassion that creates that as your reality.
And do you feel that as part of this process where we are upgrading our consciousness and shifting into more expanded state of consciousness, that there will be this process of unrest in different parts of the world?
Yes.
Yes.
Could you give us 3 simple, practical steps that we could do in our lives that will assist in creating that connected reality for all? Please.
Imagine that you can extend your awareness beyond your body. Imagine that the energy you feel floating through your body is simply a wave in an ocean that surrounds you. You have come to perceive yourself as the wave, yet you are really the ocean. So imagine this liquid light is infinite, and simply here in your heart is the point at which you make a ripple in that ocean. Every other entity, every other individual is another point making a different ripple. Yet the ripples overlap simply because your awareness has been focalized in your body, you do not feel how much they overlap. So the most practical step would be to learn and orient your awareness in a way that you bring yourself to always remember you are the ocean, not simply the wave. And with that as your intention, you will gain the greater ability to feel the ripples of everybody else's wave. The ripples will come towards you. And as water is vibrational as all else, these vibrations will influence you. Yet by the way that you steer your current, you determine how much of those other vibrations you take in. So that was not a very practical explanation, we know. So you've asked for the practical understanding of this idea. And it would be to, first of all, when you are met with any other, whether it is a person or an idea or a nation or any sort of entity or group entity, look first to what you have in similar, have in common. Yes, look towards what is similar, as this perception of similarity brings you to come into a state of connection. As you see yourself in the other, and the other in yourself, you come to a state in which there can be no intention towards harm of any kind. There is only the intention to help, to serve, to expand. And this is the most important thing for all beings on your planet in order to ascend, is to be able to realize you're the ocean and that the other waves in the ocean are a part of you too. And with this deep perception of connection, there can be no more harm done. There can be no actions done with ill intent. One moment. So the next step would be to, when you see something you don't prefer that another person is doing or another group of people are doing, is to own within yourself the potential to enact the same kind of destruction. You are all capable of that. There is always a positive intention behind every negative action that may be a self-serving positive intention, though it is still serving something. So this understanding again breaks down that barrier of difference to another degree. It diminishes the qualitative value judgment you place upon the idea of good and bad. Because good and bad are human definitions for connective and segregative. These are just definitions. The universe itself, God, has love and compassion for every action and every actor. So, at that level, there is no qualitative judgment of good and bad. There is only connective and segregative. And allowing yourself to go beyond those definitions will again allow you to have greater degrees of compassion for those who are not doing what is connective and instead doing what is segregative. One moment. The third most important thing is to honor your own preferences. So this is going beyond the individualistic sense of self and instead bringing you to a understanding of the purpose of your wave within the ocean. Now, many people in your world have attempted in some way to spread the culture of homogenization, where everyone acts and behaves in the same way. All of the houses look the same. Everyone has the same this or that. And this is actually an expression of segregation, of separation. It may seem like you are all becoming the same, yet you are internally separating yourself from who you wish to be. And so the more you can express what makes you unique, what desires you have that are unique, what experiences you wish to create and share that are uniquely your own, the more you set an example for everyone to do the same thing. And following those first two steps of seeing yourself and all others and clearing those ideas of good and bad, seeing the potential for all actions within yourself, now you are in a place where you can express your preferences without those judgments, without feeling like what you prefer makes you separate from someone who prefers something else. You instead create an example for all others to be who they truly are. And that is the highest frequency you can maintain. Can you play with that?
Thank you, that was profound. Thank you very much.
Oh, our thanks to you.
Thank you.
May I
Yes.
receive your point of view and the point of view of the
Yes.
Pleiadian Collective?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. The idea is that there's a destiny to fulfill from having the experience of living on the planet Earth.
Yes.
Bashar has described the people on Earth as being masters of limitation.
Oh, yes.
The idea is that we have collectively decided to, or the situation has been set up so that we individually go into darkness, separation, and then on our own find our way to the light, going into darkness, and then finding our way to the light over and over again to master the experience of limitation, and perhaps master the limitation of separation. And is there a destiny there with that process? Certainly, we can be experiencing the first through the 12th density all at once simultaneously, simply because we're already there.
Yes.
All of that is accessible. We are already on those densities. But having the experience of mastering, being able to separate, does that set up a situation where we then are developing a mastery to be able to separate from the 12 densities and then look more toward the light? Look, what else is there beyond that? There's a Sanskrit word for that called vairag, and those able to do that, the vairagi. Is there a landscape beyond the 12th density of individuals who have separated from the first 12 densities and perhaps in some way set up the situation in the background of planet Earth, how planet Earth evolved, slowly setting up everything so that others could have that mastery of separation and also go beyond and expand in that way the whole.
Yes. So
Is there awareness of that?
we as Pleiadians are aware that our experience is illusory. We are aware that we may be experiencing the reality of our dimension, which is what you may refer to as the fifth to the seventh or eighth dimensional planes. And going, yes, further beyond the dimensions that maintain the structure of the universe, there are dimensions that we ourselves are having an interesting time perceiving. We are not totally clear on our perception of those dimensions yet we are evolving as well. And our sense is that there are what you could consider creator gods or dreamers that were the first emanations of Source. And these, let's call them dreamers, dreamt the structure of the multiverse, which is again an infinite amount of different universes, and within every universe an infinite amount of parallel realities based on the structure, the laws of physics of that particular universe. So these dreamers are at a much higher dimensional level. They are self-aware, and so in a sense they even have their own ego structure that they create, yet not through time, through a different dimension, and dissolve through their perception focused into their creations. Now, these creator beings as well create oversouls that they can focus themselves into. And some individuals will, in their waking life, experience a sort of deja vu state in which they remember that they are actually the creator gods. And this awareness is a bit of a puzzling one, because you realize that you created yourself and you created the entire universe in which you inhabit. Now, as well as creator beings, they have been aware of the many parallel versions of all of the universes that they have created. And of course, these creator beings as well each create their own series of universes. They do experience some degree of separation, hence the birth of polarity, even at that higher dimensional level, though they also experience paradoxically oneness, in that they are all creating different universes, yet they are aware of Source, and therefore they are aware that they are one with each other. Does that help at all with your question?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your point.
And what is beyond the creator beings?
Source?
So just the oneness.
Yes. Though we wouldn't even describe it as oneness, because it is in a way completely empty, completely endless. So as no thing, it cannot be one, because there is no division, there is no differentiation at all at that level. Oneness is simply the way that you within your realm decipher or translate that level.
Are there individuals within your race that specialize in this this understanding?
Yes.
look more deeply into it?
Yes. We do have our own metaphysicians.
I have a question that I will articulate as best as I can. It's just come to me. I have a friend who is very much on a Buddhist path of meditation.
All right.
And he described to me that his intention, moving beyond multiple lifetimes, a multiple lifetime intention, is to reach the state of nirvana and therefore exit the cycles of incarnation and experience. And that is a concept that I would wonder if you could shed some light on what that path is and why and what is at the other end of escaping incarnation and what the reasons for doing that would be.
Well, there is a base misperception at the base of this religion. And that is such that you reincarnate. When you, as you are now, do not reincarnate. You are part of an oversoul that has many soul aspects that express themselves throughout time and space. And so there comes naturally the awareness that I am not simply who I am today. I am all of these other beings as well. Because the information, the energy, the awareness, the experiences, the traumas, all of it bleeds through at the oversoul level into all other expressions and incarnations. Yet, when a soul leaves the physical reality, they simply reunite with the oversoul. At that point, reunited with the soul, the oversoul, consciousness itself. That soul entity is an infinite and endless being that can then shift in consciousness, in awareness, into other forms, into other incarnations by choice. Yet, upon returning again, the individuality, the uniqueness of that particular emanation of the oversoul as one soul will always be as it is, eternally. So, in a way, every soul reaches nirvana at the end of life. As when the soul returns to the oversoul, returns to source, there is an awareness of self as source. There is a merging that takes place. The experience of that expresses itself through the belief system developed through the lifetime of the soul, and as well through the actions, hence the understanding of karma, as when you leave your body, you re-experience everything you have done to others and everything you have done to yourself. Yet, because you are going beyond that individualized state, you experience any harm that you may have done to others, even unknowingly, as if it were harm to yourself, because it ultimately is. And this awareness of karma, as they have called it, then informed the understanding of the cycle of reincarnation. And this belief in linear time distorted that perception of the many lifetimes and the energy that bleeds through them into the sense that you go from one to another, when really you go to a dimension beyond all of that, a dimension of simultaneity, in which all of the lifetimes are one thing happening at the same time. And so, well, really, nirvana is just an expression for heaven. And heaven is just an expression for the afterlife. And the afterlife itself is, in a way, not good or bad. It is simply a higher dimensional experience. And because this is a universe based on love, it is an experience of great and complete love. So we realize with what we are saying, there may be a sense of what is the point of anything if once we go, we're simply immersed in love? And it is the conscious evolution that every moment in that process, and in higher dimensions, every expression of the process, because they are not moments anymore, is an expression of Source itself. And every time there's a change, there's a variance, Source expands, Source becomes more self-aware. So the idea of liberation is a good attempt at the expression of passion and excitement, though it is in a way a very distorted path. And yes, for this reason we would say the traditional religions of your planet will not continue in the future at a certain point.
Thank God.
So is it in the belief system of this lineage of believing that there is a point to then escape experience or escape continuing to have incarnations and experience? Is that a choice that is available to that soul incarnation or that soul aspect or that expression of oneness or the all that is? Does that soul aspect have the option to stay as source or oneness and not continue in incarnations?
Yes, that choice is available to all souls, though it is not a very common choice, because when you experience your pure soul beyond the human physical reality, you may notice an intense desire to expand. So if souls have evolved past a point of needing the experience of a denser physical reality, they will go to a higher dimensional plane. Yet again, once you leave the physical reality, the 3D space-time, you enter into a realm of simultaneity. So it is very hard for us to explain true simultaneity to beings who do not experience it. Though it is such that you understand in a much deeper way that all is here and now. And there is a much greater diminished sense of self and an ability to go through and between dimensions with much greater ease. So, yes, the more that you keep yourself in a consciousness of connection within the lifetime, the easier it is upon exiting physical reality to maintain that state of connection. Though all souls experience themselves as source, and it is only the conditioning of the mind that determines how the soul continues to relate to source.
Thank you. One final part that I would like to add to that, please.
Yes.
When moving into these incarnations and moving up to potentially 6, 7 density or non-physical beings, is it then possible then to choose to reincarnate down to 3rd, 4th density beings again? If you wish to.
Again, the idea here is that the reincarnating aspect of it is illusory, because there is true simultaneity. Those souls may experience themselves seeing through the eyes of a lower density being, though that soul at that level does not directly become a new soul in a new body. It remains the soul that it has always been. It may have the experience of perceptually descending into other densities, of merging consciousness for periods of time, much in the same way that we merge consciousness with the channel. Though once the soul leaves, the same soul doesn't come back. A similar expression of the same oversoul may come back, though the soul itself is eternal.
Thank you.
Yes, our thanks to you.
I have a question.
All right.
This feels like it may be related to some that have already been asked. I had an intuitive experience recently where understanding or experiencing that my best words for it are that my soul or spirit, which my understanding is that everyone's soul and spirit, came about as a thought of God,
Yes.
and that in that thought, in that instant, that I was thought or any other soul or spirit was thought, with that thought was also a deep love that
Yes.
could never be diminished.
Yes.
And I just was curious, I think with being a human and having more familiarity at this moment in time with time and space, like how, if there's some way to answer this question in your understanding of things, how old, like how long ago were our souls or spirits thought? When did we become thought? Like, is that a time-space thing? It's a hard question to ask. When did that
Well,
happen?
time is a creation of source. So, in those higher dimensions, there is no time. It is all simultaneous. So, there is no when in those dimensions because it is all here and now. And again, this is a very hard thing for the human mind to comprehend. There is still a sort of progression of evolution, though there is no when in those other dimensions. And so, in the very same moment, the entire universe is created and destroyed. In your dimension, the when of a soul entering occurs a bit before the conception of a new baby. The soul sometimes hangs around long before the conception of the baby in very particular cases. And in other cases, well, it is already a part of the template of reality. So all of the potential babies are a part of the potential. They are ingrained, they are embedded within the field of reality. And not long before the birth of a child, that soul begins to make that deeper connection with the parents and with all of the other souls that it will come to share the life with. But again, this is an illusory perception of time and space. Our thanks to you as well. We could answer perhaps one more question at this time.
If there's no more questions from anyone else, then I would ask one for. It's not urgent. If anyone else has something more pressing that they would like to ask.
I have one actually. What do you feel will be the most significant change that will affect humanity as a whole between now and the next 10 years?
One moment. Well, there are many changes that are very significant for different reasons. And of course, the most significant will be the landing of hybrid children. There are many phases leading up to that. And this includes the development of telepathy through resonance, through passion, through the intention to create those co-creative spaces, telepathy will grow and expand much more profoundly. The significant changes for the other side of the coin, you could say, would be certain international conflicts expanding as well, and this will pose the potential threat of certain nations entering into these other conflicts, and the choice point of how people respond to this repeating pattern one more time of do they choose to involve themselves or not, in which way do they choose to involve themselves or not, will be a very symbolic and important trajectory. So this conflict itself is almost unavoidable, and we would say in 3 to 5 years of your time it will surface more. The melting of glaciers, the collapse of ecosystems, and certain natural disasters in the form of earthquakes and tsunamis will also continue. We would say that as you listen to the feeling of safety within you in a deep way, you will have the great potential to avoid any such of these incidences, though do know they are impending as probabilities. This is not to say they will happen, though the probabilities at this point are quite high.
Thank you.
Our thanks to you as well, yes. With that said, we will conclude this transmission now at your time. Let us return once more to this idea of the ocean of energy that you are. Again, feeling that liquid light flows through your body in all directions, and that you are even swimming in this liquid light. This water, all around you and within you, is a great metaphor, a great symbol, to bring you to that state of pure connection, where the difference between you and other dissolves. The difference does not mean that your preferences, that your expressions are the same. It simply means that beneath them, they are expressions of the same source, of the same one, and that the core intention of love is the same. This core intention of love expresses itself through even the darkest forces in your world, who simply have a very distorted belief system about love. When you notice any contraction, bring yourself back to your perception of yourself as this infinite ocean. Allow yourself to swim in that infinite ocean. And realize that as more and more the awareness of everyone comes to point towards that ocean, much like water transfers the substances, the vibrations that one field, one stream of water has, you will be able to purify the waters of your planet through sharing the burden, through allowing whatever toxic substance that may be infiltrating the water to have more room to spread out, and allowing that good bacteria, that destructive force that purifies, that some of the water may possess, to ripple out to the rest of the water. Water is, in a way, the most fundamental element. And the water that gives you life can be witnessed at this higher level as the water that allows all seas and all people to return back to the one. So, please do enjoy. And we wish you the most fabulous evenings of your time. We are always with you. And through this transmission, we may continue to assist you in other ways, so pay attention, as the energy here is very high. And in this frequency, many powerful things may happen or continue to happen. Our love and joy to you, and we will see you once again later.